I never thought falling in love with my therapist would destroy my life. After my wife's betrayal, I was lost, broken beyond repair. Then came Dr. Elaine Brooks. Calm, understanding, everything I thought I needed to heal. But therapy turned into obsession, and lines blurred until love felt like poison. I trusted her with my pain, but she used it to control me. The truth shattered everything: my marriage, my sanity, my sense of self. This isn't just a story about love gone wrong. It's about what happens when the person who's supposed to save you becomes the one who breaks you completely.
Some betrayals don't start with screaming or slammed doors. They start with small things: a change in tone, a missed text, a look that lingers too long on someone else's face. My name's Evan. I'm 33, and for most of my life I believed I had what every man hopes for: a quiet home, a loyal wife, and good neighbors who felt more like friends than strangers. We lived in a suburban pocket of Denver, the kind with neatly trimmed lawns and Saturday block parties. My wife, Lily, and I had been married for 5 years, together for 8. I worked as a project engineer for a construction firm, pulling in decent money, while Lily freelanced as a photographer, mostly weddings, portraits, and the occasional baby shoot. She was artistic, wild, unpredictable in ways that used to feel exciting. Our next-door neighbors, Mark and Jenna, were our age, newly married, the kind of people you share late-night beers and borrowed tools with. From day one, the four of us clicked. Sunday barbecues, movie nights, hiking trips. It felt like family. Looking back, I realized that's what made the betrayal so devastating. The people I trusted most didn't just break my heart. They used my own home as their stage. It started with Lily's evening walks. She said she needed them to clear her head after editing photos all day. At first, I thought nothing of it. She'd walk around the block, sometimes stop to chat with neighbors, sometimes come back with that calm glow people get from being outside. But then the walks got longer. First 30 minutes, then an hour, sometimes more. She'd come home smelling faintly of cologne. Not hers, not mine. When I asked, she laughed, said she'd hug Jenna goodbye, and maybe that's what I smelled. Harmless, right? Except Jenna didn't wear men's cologne. Still, I let it slide. I didn't want to be that jealous husband, the kind who monitors every move. I told myself I was imagining it. Everyone says trust is the foundation of marriage, but no one tells you how blind that trust can make you. Then came the little things. Lily's phone face down at dinner. Her late-night giggles as she scrolled through messages. The new workout clothes she bought, though she never went to the gym. Every time I asked who she was texting, she'd sigh, "You're being paranoid." And maybe I was. Until one night, when paranoia turned into proof. It was mid-June, hot and sticky, the kind of night where the air clings to your skin. I had installed a new security system earlier that week. Motion lights, door sensors, the whole deal. Our backyard cameras were synced to my phone, mostly for safety. Around 11:30 p.m. while I was watching TV, my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I almost ignored it, assuming it was a raccoon, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened the live feed. What I saw froze me in place. Lily was outside, standing near the back fence, and so was Mark, our neighbor, my friend. They weren't talking across the fence. They were together, his hand on her waist, her head tilted back, laughing softly. Then she kissed him. Not a drunken, careless peck, a slow, familiar kiss. My stomach dropped. I remember setting my phone down, walking outside barefoot, feeling the cool grass under my feet as if my body needed something real to hold on to. By the time I reached the fence, they were gone. The gate clicked softly shut behind her. Lily walked in through the back door moments later, acting like nothing happened. I said nothing that night. I didn't sleep either. Over the next few days, I became an investigator in my own home. Every smile felt staged, every word rehearsed. I checked the camera history. She had disabled motion alerts 3 nights in a row. I checked her phone while she showered. Password changed. I checked our text history. Entire message threads deleted. That was all the confirmation I needed. She wasn't just hiding something. She was protecting it. But I wasn't ready to explode yet. Instead, I played along. I smiled, kissed her goodbye, went to work like normal. Meanwhile, I upgraded the cameras. Tiny ones this time, hidden in the porch light, inside a flower pot near the fence, and one behind the living room speaker. It felt insane setting traps inside my own home, but trust had already died. All I wanted now was truth. And I got it, more brutally than I could have imagined. 1 week later, while working late on site, I checked the live feed out of habit. Lily's car was in the driveway. Mark's wasn't. But the back door was open. I tapped the feed. There they were, on my couch. My couch. Her shirt half off, his hand around her neck like they'd done it 100 times. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I just sat there in my truck, my hands trembling so hard I could barely hold the phone. Watching them was like watching someone else's life fall apart in slow motion. When she texted me later, "Miss you. Come home soon," I almost laughed. I didn't reply. I drove home 2 hours later, walked past the couch without a word, and slept in the guest room. She didn't ask why. The next morning, I confronted her, not with yelling, but with evidence. I showed her the footage. Her face went white, then red, then blank. First came denial, then blame. "You invaded my privacy." Then tears, then the excuses. Loneliness, boredom, feeling unseen. She said Mark understood her. I asked if Jenna knew. She didn't answer. That silence told me everything. I called Mark's wife myself. Jenna didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just whispered, "I knew it." Turns out she'd suspected for months, but Mark had gaslit her the same way Lily gaslit me. 2 homes, 2 marriages, destroyed by 2 people who couldn't control themselves. That night, I packed Lily's things and set them by the door. No shouting, no second chances. She begged me not to make it public, said it would ruin her. I told her it already had. When she left, the house felt too quiet, the kind of silence that eats at your chest. For days, I replayed it all. The walks, the laughter, the glances across the fence. It had all been right there, in plain sight, and I'd been too blind to see it. Sometimes betrayal doesn't hide in the shadows. Sometimes it waves at you from the porch next door. That night after she came home from her so-called business trip, I watched her unpack, moving around the room like nothing had happened. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and started telling me about a conference dinner with her team. Every detail rehearsed, every pause perfectly timed. I nodded along, pretending to listen, but my eyes weren't on her face anymore. They were on the small silver necklace around her neck, a necklace I hadn't seen before. She noticed me looking at it and said, "Oh, this? Company gift." I just smiled and said, "Nice." But inside, something had already shifted. The air between us wasn't air anymore. It was glass. I could see her through it, hear her through it, but I couldn't reach her. And for the first time in 7 years, I realized I didn't actually know the woman standing in front of me. That realization didn't come with rage or heartbreak. It came with a cold, sharp clarity. I was done being the fool in my own home. The next morning, after she left for work, I sat at the kitchen table with her forgotten laptop. My hands hovered over the trackpad for a long time before I finally opened her inbox. I wasn't looking for anything specific, But the truth doesn't hide well when it's meant to be found. Her emails were clean at first, work-related, professional, predictable. Then I found the Archive Private folder. Inside were threads that started with business jargon and slowly morphed into something else, something personal, intimate, dirty. There were messages from a man named Tyler, full of phrases like "last night was perfect" and "I miss you already." I scrolled for what felt like hours, my chest tightening with every line. Hotel receipts, flight confirmations, even photos, blurry, suggestive, full of lies she'd dressed up as work trips. And the worst part? Her tone. It wasn't just lust, it was affection. Real, raw, dangerous affection. She called him T, signed off with "yours always." It hit me that she hadn't just slept with someone, she'd built another life while I was right here, building one for both of us. I didn't explode. I didn't call her or send angry texts. I wanted her to show me how deep the lie went, so I played along. I made her breakfast before her next trip, kissed her goodbye, even wished her luck on her presentation. But as soon as she was gone, I started tracking everything, her bookings, her expense reports, her phone records. The patterns were impossible to ignore. Half the flights were fake. She wasn't in Chicago when she said she was. She was in Denver, the same city where Tyler's LinkedIn said he was based. That's when I made a copy of everything, the emails, the receipts, the photos, proof. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to see the truth laid bare. There's a kind of quiet madness that takes over when you're betrayed. You stop sleeping. You stop eating. You just replay moments over and over, wondering when exactly the love you believed in died. For me, it wasn't one night. It was a slow decay, hidden under business suits and airport hugs. When I finally confronted her, it was a Sunday night. She was folding clothes, talking about her next conference. I asked her, casually, "Hey, who's Tyler?" She froze, not for long, but long enough. Then came the lie, smooth and rehearsed. "He's a client. Why?" I said, "Because he seems to know a lot about your hotel rooms." Her face drained of color. She tried to laugh it off, then saw the flash drive I was holding, the one with all her emails. That's when the mask cracked. The next 30 minutes were a storm of excuses, half-truths, and tears. It didn't mean anything. It just happened. You were distant. I didn't say a word. I just watched her try to rebuild a bridge she'd burned to ash. When she finally realized I wasn't arguing back, she broke down completely. "Please, Ryan, don't do this. I'll quit my job. I'll block him. We can fix this." I looked her in the eye and said, "We can't fix something that wasn't real." Then I left the room. No shouting, no slamming doors, just silence, the kind that follows a gunshot. She left the next morning before I woke up. No note, no goodbye, just an empty side of the bed and a faint trace of her perfume on the pillow. For weeks I didn't tell anyone. I just existed. Went to work, came home, stared at walls, until one afternoon I got a Facebook message from a woman named Lauren M. Her first line read, "I think my husband Tyler and your wife Jessica have been seeing each other." My heart stopped. She attached screenshots, the same emails, the same photos. She said she found them on her husband's phone after he left it unlocked one night. We met in a coffee shop a week later, two strangers bound by the same wound. She told me everything, how their affair started at a corporate event, how it went from hotel bars to weekend getaways. By the time she finished, we both just sat there in silence, staring into our cups. It wasn't even anger anymore. It was exhaustion. The kind that settles deep in your bones when you realize the person you loved was capable of this much deception. The divorce took 3 months. Quick, clean, cold. She moved to Portland. Tyler's wife filed too. Last I heard, they didn't even end up together, which somehow made the whole thing feel even more pathetic. Sometimes, late at night, I scroll through old pictures, vacations, holidays, random selfies, and try to pinpoint the moment she stopped loving me. But I can't. Because maybe she didn't stop. Maybe she just loved someone else more for a while. That thought used to haunt me. Now it just makes me tired.
People ask me if I'd ever take her back or if I still believe in marriage. The truth is, I believe in honesty more than I ever did. I believe that sometimes love isn't enough, respect is. These days, I still drive her old car, still listen to her favorite songs when they come on. Not because I miss her, but because they remind me of what I survived. When the past creeps in, and it always does, I remind myself of one thing. She lied, but I lived, and that's the only ending that really matters.
After the divorce, I told myself I'd never let anyone break me like that again. I was done with relationships, done with trust, done pretending that love was anything more than an illusion people used to survive loneliness. Still, the human mind doesn't just shut off pain, it tries to make sense of it. My sister, worried I was slipping into depression, suggested I see a therapist. I resisted at first. I don't need to talk to a stranger about my mistakes, I told her. But eventually, the silence in my apartment grew heavier than my pride, so I booked a session. Her name was Dr. Elaine Brooks, mid-30s, calm voice, that kind of warmth therapists are trained to project but rarely feel. The first session was awkward. I told her I wasn't here to fix anything, just to understand why I didn't see the signs sooner. She nodded, scribbled something in her notebook, and said, "Sometimes the signs are hidden because we're too busy loving someone." That line stuck with me. It sounded rehearsed, sure, but it also hit like a truth I wasn't ready to admit. I went home that night thinking maybe therapy wouldn't be so bad after all. Over the next few weeks, I started opening up, slowly. I told her about Jessica, the affair, the emails, the nights I sat in the dark replaying everything. She listened, really listened, the kind of listening that feels like being seen for the first time in years. I started looking forward to our sessions more than I should have. She'd smile when I walked in, ask how my week was, make a small joke that made the air in that little office feel lighter. I told myself it was just her job to make me feel understood, but there was something different about Elaine. The way she leaned forward when I spoke, the way she'd pause before saying goodbye, eyes lingering just a second too long. It wasn't professional, not really. One night she emailed me after hours. "Just to check in," she said. "I was thinking about what you said in session today. I hope you're okay." It was harmless on the surface, but it felt personal. I replied, thanking her, trying to sound casual. But that one email turned into 3, then into late-night messages about everything from books to loneliness to how unfair love can be. Somewhere along the line, therapy stopped feeling like healing. It felt like connection. By month 3, the line between therapist and something else had blurred. She started sharing bits of her own life, a failing marriage, a husband who didn't understand her, how she sometimes felt invisible. It should have been a red flag, but instead it pulled me in deeper. It felt like déjà vu, a woman who claimed to be trapped, reaching out to me for understanding. I told myself it was different this time because Elaine wasn't lying to me. Or maybe I just needed to believe that. One afternoon, after a session where I broke down crying, really crying, for the first time since Jessica left, she touched my hand. Just a small gesture, soft and brief, but it set off something electric inside me. For weeks after that, our sessions became longer, more emotional, almost intimate. She'd tell me she admired my strength, how she'd never met a client so self-aware, so kind despite what he'd been through. It was everything I wanted to hear, everything Jessica had taken from me, and I let myself fall into it. We crossed a line one evening when she invited me to meet her outside the office. She said she wanted to talk as friends. I knew it was wrong. She knew it was wrong. But broken people crave the wrong things that feel right. We met at a small bar downtown, dimly lit and quiet. She looked nothing like the composed therapist I saw in her office. Hair down, no glasses, laughing freely. For the first time in months, I felt alive. We talked for hours, and at one point she reached across the table and said, "You deserve someone who actually sees you, Ryan." The way she said my name, soft, certain, broke something open in me.
I leaned in. She didn't pull back. That night when she kissed me, it didn't feel like therapy anymore. It felt like redemption. Or so I thought. For a few weeks, we pretended it was fine. She stopped charging me for sessions, told me she'd technically transferred my case to another therapist, though I never met one. We saw each other in secret, her house, my apartment, sometimes even her office after hours. I knew it couldn't last, but I didn't care. It was the first time I'd felt wanted since the marriage ended. I didn't see the irony yet, that I was becoming the same kind of secret I once hated. I thought I was in control. I wasn't. The fallout came fast. One morning I got a call from the clinic's director asking if I had any unprofessional contact with Dr. Brooks. Someone had seen us together. Elaine panicked. She begged me to deny everything, said it would ruin her career. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to protect her, but another part of me realized what had really happened. I'd been pulled into another cycle of manipulation, just painted in softer colors. When I finally told the truth, she lost her license. She sent me a message afterwards. I thought we could save each other. That line haunted me for months. Save each other. As if two broken people could ever build something whole out of the pieces of their pain. After that, I stopped therapy altogether. I stopped trying to fix the past or decode betrayal. I just started walking every morning before sunrise. No phone, no music, just the sound of my footsteps. It's strange. The quiet used to suffocate me, but now it feels like home. People keep asking if I'll ever love again. Maybe someday, but not yet. I've learned that healing isn't about replacing the person who hurt you. It's about learning to be okay without needing anyone to rescue you from yourself.
It's been a year since everything ended. Since Elaine lost her license, since Jessica vanished into her new life, since I stopped trying to understand why people destroy what they claim to love. Time has a strange rhythm when you're rebuilding. Some days crawl, others vanish. There were mornings I'd wake up before sunrise, the world outside still gray, and sit on my porch with a cup of coffee, feeling like the last person left alive. The first few months were brutal. Every reminder of my old life felt like a wound I couldn't stop reopening. The couch she picked out, the playlist we made for road trips, even the smell of her shampoo that still lingered on the guest towels. But pain is a way of softening when you stop feeding it. Eventually, the memories stopped screaming. They started whispering. I could look at an old photo without collapsing, hear a familiar song without drowning. Healing didn't come with fireworks or clarity. It came quietly, disguised as ordinary days that didn't hurt as much as the ones before. I spent a lot of time alone, but not the kind of loneliness that eats you alive. It was different, intentional. I hiked trails I'd never noticed before, took random drives with no destination, just letting the road unwind whatever thoughts still clung to me. One morning I ended up by the coast, near a small town called Clearwater Bay. It was quiet, almost hauntingly so, the kind of place where time seems slower, like the world hadn't caught up yet. I rented a small cabin overlooking the ocean and decided to stay a while. That's where I started writing again. Now for anyone else, just for myself. I filled notebooks with everything I'd never said out loud. The guilt, the rage, the confusion, the flickers of hope I was too afraid to admit I still had. Writing felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. The more I wrote, the more I realized something. All that chaos, the betrayal, the therapy, the breakdown, it had turned me into someone else. Not colder, not harder, just more awake. I stopped seeing myself as the victim of what happened. Instead, I started seeing myself as the survivor of it. Every so often, I'd get updates about the people I'd left behind. Not because I asked, but because gossip has long legs. Jessica had left her second husband just 6 months after they married. Apparently, he'd caught her texting Marcus again. When I heard that, I didn't feel satisfaction or anger, just pity. It confirmed what I'd already learned. Some people don't cheat because they're unhappy. They cheat because they don't know how to be whole. As for Elaine, I heard she moved out of state. Rumor had it she was working at a wellness retreat under a new name. That one stung a little.
Not because I missed her, but because part of me still wanted to believe she'd meant what she said about us saving each other. But maybe she did, in her own broken way. Because as much as she crossed lines and blurred boundaries, she forced me to confront something I'd avoided my whole life, my need to fix broken women, to rescue people so I wouldn't have to face my own emptiness. She was both a mirror and a lesson. And maybe that's all she was ever meant to be. Months passed, and Clearwater Bay became less of a hideaway and more of a home. I found work designing small business websites. Quiet, remote, steady. I made friends with locals who didn't care about my past, who didn't ask too many questions. There was an older man, Frank, who ran the bait shop near the docks. We'd talk every morning while he cleaned fish and smoked cheap cigars. He once told me, "Everyone's been broken by someone, son. The trick ain't avoiding it, it's learning how to live after." That line stuck with me. I used to think survival meant getting revenge, proving I was stronger, showing the world I'd moved on. But the truth is quieter than that. Survival isn't about winning. It's about learning to exist without needing the apology you'll never get. And slowly I did. I stopped checking old accounts. I stopped replaying what-ifs. I even stopped stalking social media profiles that used to feel like open wounds. One night as I sat on the beach watching the tide roll, and I realized something simple but powerful. I didn't hate them anymore. Not Jessica, not Elaine, not even Marcus. Hate keeps you connected. Letting go breaks the chain.